The heavy rain poured down in torrents, with streams of water rushing across the road, limiting visibility. The highway, usually empty, seemed even more desolate under the downpour. James Turner, a truck driver, had just completed a long delivery and hurried to get home before midnight. His windshield wipers worked tirelessly as the headlights only illuminated a few meters of the flooded road ahead. After driving for a while, he noticed a figure standing by the roadside in the pouring rain. He saw a young woman, Sophie Williams, shivering, her clothes soaked and her hands wrapped tightly around her body, trying to fight off the cold wind. Concerned, he slowed down, turned on his blinkers, and stopped right in front of her. Rolling down the window, he asked, raising his voice to overpower the sound of the rain, "Why are you standing here in this weather? Do you need help?" Sophie looked up, her face pale from the cold, her eyes frantic. Her voice shook as she answered, "Sir, my car broke down. I'm lost. Can you please take me to the village crossroads? I really don't know what to do anymore." James hesitated for a moment. He knew it was dangerous to pick up strangers, especially in such weather and at such a late hour. But when he saw Sophie in her drenched clothes and her lips turning blue, he couldn't bear to leave her stranded. "All right, hop in. It's not safe out here in this storm." Sophie quickly climbed into the passenger seat and thanked him quietly. James handed her a jacket from his glove compartment. "Here, put this on so you don't catch a cold." "Thank you so much. I don't know what I would have done without you," she said as she wrapped herself in the jacket. The truck continued down the road in silence for a while. After some time, James tried to make small talk. "Where are you from? How did you end up out here alone?" Sophie avoided his gaze and softly replied, "Just take me to the crossroads, I'll be fine. Don't worry, I won't take up too much of your time." He nodded but couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He noticed that her hands were still trembling, as if she was very anxious. A few miles later, the rain hadn't let up. James began to feel uneasy as he saw a black car following them at a distance. It had appeared a while ago, but its speed and movement made him suspicious. "That's strange. Why are they following us?" he muttered to himself, keeping an eye on the car in the rearview mirror. He didn't say anything to Sophie, but felt his instincts tingling. When they reached the crossroads, he slowed down to drop her off. She hurriedly thanked him again and got out of the truck. But as she stepped out, he noticed that the black car had stopped nearby and two large men in black coats were getting out. They walked straight toward her. Sophie's face was filled with panic as she screamed, "Help! Please, they want to hurt me!" Hearing her cry for help, James immediately slammed on the brakes and jumped out of the truck. He quickly stepped between the two men and demanded, "Who are you? Why are you threatening her?" One of the men sneered and said coldly, "This is none of your business. Stay out of it." James, undeterred, retorted, "She screamed for help. I can't just stand by and do nothing." The second man stepped forward and smacked James hard, knocking him to the ground. James, however, remained resolute and shouted, "You'll regret this, both of you. She's going to escape, and you'll pay for this." The two men continued to beat him, but during the struggle, Sophie managed to run back toward the truck. Without hesitation, James ran after her and shouted, "Get in now." She jumped into the truck, and he sped off as fast as the truck would go, leaving the two men behind. The black car immediately gave chase, but James, determined to protect Sophie, made a sharp turn onto a narrow, muddy road. His truck skidded, sliding across the slippery surface, but he kept going. The black car stopped, afraid to drive onto the muddy ground. James breathed a sigh of relief. He turned to Sophie. "You need to call the police now. This situation is too dangerous for us to handle on our own." Sophie nodded, but her eyes were still filled with fear. She knew this wasn't over yet. After a short moment of silence, James spoke again. "Go ahead, run to the village up ahead, find a safe place to hide, and I'll circle back to distract them." "No," she protested. "They'll hurt you. Don't do it." James shook his head firmly. "I can't leave you, and I can't let them catch both of us. Hurry, go." Reluctantly, Sophie ran off into the village, and James, ignoring her pleas, turned his truck around to draw the attackers away. The black car appeared again and blocked the truck's path. James slammed the brakes, and two men approached with dangerous looks in their eyes. "Get out of the truck," one of them commanded. "Where is the girl?" James kept his calm, staring the men down. "She's gone. If you're smart, you'll leave now and forget about this." The second man lost patience and punched James. James staggered but stayed on his feet. "You're making a big mistake," James said. "She's already gone, and you'll never get her." The two men didn't want to waste time and began beating James, leaving him lying on the cold ground. They quickly got back into the black car and drove away. Sophie, still shaken, came back to find James. She was determined to help him. She found a nearby house, and the kind couple inside immediately helped them, bringing James inside to warm up and bandage his wounds. Sophie spoke to him gently. "You saved my life. I owe you everything." James smiled weakly. It was the right thing to do. "Just make sure you go to the police, report everything." And that's what she did. With the help of the authorities, the criminals were quickly found. Sophie revealed that she had been the secretary to a shady businessman and had discovered his illegal activities. When she tried to expose him, he sent his men after her. The police arrested the two men, but the ringleader, the businessman, was still at large. Sophie bravely assisted the authorities, helping them locate the criminals' hideout. Soon, the police closed in and captured the businessman in a dramatic raid. Sophie stood tall, knowing she had done the right thing, and gave her statement to the police, her heart now filled with gratitude and relief. While James was still recovering in the hospital, Sophie, determined to repay him for his courage, worked with the police to bring down the criminal empire. She was also in touch with the authorities, and with the information she provided, they were able to stop a massive money laundering and smuggling ring. James, still recuperating in the hospital, could rest easy knowing that justice had been served and the criminals had been put behind bars. As Sophie walked into the hospital room to visit him, she smiled gently. "How are you feeling? I brought you some fruit." James smiled back, his body still weak, but his spirit lifted. "I'm feeling much better now. Thank you for everything." Sophie sat beside him, her heart swelling with gratitude. "You saved my life and helped me find the courage to do the right thing. I'll never forget it." James nodded. "I just did what anyone would do. But I'm glad you're safe now." They both smiled, knowing that their lives had changed forever. Their bond grew stronger, not just from the traumatic events they had gone through, but because of the love, courage, and respect they had found in one another. As time passed, James found a new job at a transportation company, thanks to Sophie's help. His hard work and integrity earned him the respect of his colleagues. Sophie, with her strong will, also started a new career in legal consulting, helping others in difficult situations, just like she once faced. The two of them continued to support each other, and with the savings from his new job, James opened a small repair shop. It became a place for helping others. He repaired cars for the poor for free, and taught young people how to work in the trade. Sophie also began helping the underprivileged by organizing charity events, distributing goods, and providing legal assistance to those in need. Their lives had been transformed, and together, they gave back to the community. One afternoon, as James was working in his shop, an elderly man entered with a broken-down bicycle. He humbly asked for help, holding out a small amount of money. "Don't worry about the money," James said. "I'll fix it for you." After the repair, the old man thanked him and said, "You're a good person. I've never met anyone like you." James smiled and nodded, his heart full of joy as he looked at Sophie standing beside him. "Thank you," James said. "You're a big part of all of this." Sophie smiled warmly. They had both learned the true meaning of kindness, courage, and love. Together, they had built a new life in a small, peaceful town, where they helped others and shared their experiences with people in need. Their story spread across the town, becoming a source of inspiration for many. They had not only overcome their past hardships, but had also used their strength and love to change their lives and the lives of others for the better.